Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. This week we're joined by Emily Hoven, a political expert for CalMatters.org. Emily, we often talk about what the governor may be doing down the road, run for president. There's a Turning Point USA straw poll done by Republicans and conservatives about who they would fear most coming out of the Democratic side. Overwhelmingly, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting given that he just went ahead and aired more ads in Texas, actually, this time in print, full page ads he took out in Texas, basically contrasting California's approach to gun control and abortion versus those policies that are happening under Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican. And so I think he's definitely ramping up those thoughts among people that he may, in fact, be gearing up for a presidential run either in 2024 or in the future. And it's actually pretty interesting because now we're seeing some California players sort of ripping a page out of the governor's playbook. And we actually just had the Western States Petroleum Association, which represents the oil and gas industry, start airing their own ads in Florida, where the governor also previously aired ads, basically critiquing his climate policies and saying, electricity and gas cost way more in California than in Florida. And so now we're having all these California campaigns happening in other states, in red states, where the governor has been very active in potentially laying this groundwork for a presidential run.
Well, it's interesting in that straw poll, that very somewhat informal straw poll by Republicans, coming in second after Newsom was Michelle Obama, followed by Hillary Clinton. So you'd have to ask, this doesn't seem like it's this year's poll, really.
Yeah, it was interesting to sort of see some of the people that were listed in there. I mean, Michelle Obama, I don't know if she's ever contemplated a presidential run, and Hillary Clinton, who knows if she wants to actually jump back into politics. So, we have to kind of take all of these results with a grain of salt so far. But I do think, yeah, I mean, the governor, he has said many times, and he himself actually said, I've said it in as many languages as I can, in as many ways as I can. I have no intention of running for president.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think once you're leading the world's fifth largest economy and you're taking, some of these policies that are very ambitious, as he likes to say, leading the nation, it raises the question of, what are you going to do after the election that he's running right now in California? In many ways is not a serious election at all. He's facing a Republican state senator from Northern California. He's expected to just easily sail to victory. And so he can afford to use his massive campaign war chest to run ads in other states and just continue raising his national profile.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to take him at his word. As of today or tomorrow, he has no intention of running, but the world could be a completely different place. And his party could be very much asking him strongly to run in a couple of years, and at that point he could revisit that. So let's talk about Prop 30, which you and I have kind of chatted about a little bit offline. It's going to be taxing millionaires for climate programs if that's passed in November. Who does this affect? The governor says no on this, but state Democrats want it.
Yeah, this is actually sort of shaping up to be one of the more interesting measures on the November ballot. There's only seven that California voters are going to be asked to vote on statewide. And the two most kind of prominent ones have been the sports betting ones, but then Prop 30 has sort of burst onto the scene. And this is a measure that was actually funded largely by Lyft, the rideshare company, that basically would raise taxes on Californians earning more than $2 million to fund a variety of climate programs, including a program that and rebates for Californians to buy electric vehicles and build more electric vehicle charging stations across the state. Lyft is actually facing a state mandate to log 90% of miles driven in its cars in electric vehicles within the next couple of, I think 2030 is the year. And so Governor Newsom, in a very surprising move, he came out and he basically said, I oppose this measure, and Lyft is trying to take Californians' tax income that should be going to the state for its own purposes to basically help it meet this mandate, which it should do by itself. And it was pretty surprising because the California Democratic Party has actually endorsed the measure and supports it. And so to sort of have this break is interesting. And a lot of the environmental groups that are behind this measure have basically slammed the governor and said, why are you siding with Republicans and the oil industry when you're not backing this measure? So it'll be very interesting to see how that shapes up in more ads and spending later this year.
Yeah, it's not often. We've seen it a couple of times where the governor and the state Democrats do not see eye to eye. And generally, in a case like this, Emily, who comes out on top, the governor or the party in this state?
That's difficult to say, actually. I mean, I think the governor probably has broader name appeal to Californians than the California Democratic Party, which can be more amorphous. But I also think the party, they have a lot of people they can muster to their cause.
Hmm.
And as I said, the measure is also backed by some big corporations and some unions and some environmental groups. So I don't know if Newsom is going to be able to to defeat all of them. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, good point. CalMatters. Thank you, Emily. CalMatters, a nonpartisan news organization explaining California policies and politics. Find their work at calmatters.org. You can also sign up for Emily's newsletter there.